I knew something was wrong the moment I saw the champagne. My mother doesn't do champagne. She does boxed wine from Costco and lukewarm beer my father keeps in the garage fridge. But there it was on the dining table. 3 bottles of actual Veuve Clicquot, sweating in silver ice buckets like we were celebrating something monumental. My name is Annika, and I'd just turned 30, the big 30, the age where you're supposed to have your life figured out, or at least pretend you do on social media. I had a decent job in environmental law consulting, a studio apartment I could actually afford, and a growing suspicion that my family had been lying to me for months. There she is! My mother swept toward me in her good dress, the navy one she saves for church and funerals. The birthday girl! Everyone clapped. My brother Prince stood by the fireplace with his wife Emily, her hand resting on her barely there baby bump like it was the crown jewels. My father hovered near the kitchen, already looking uncomfortable in his button-down shirt. "This is too much," I said, setting down my purse. "You didn't have to do all this." "Nonsense!" My mother kissed my cheek, and I caught a whiff of her department store perfume. 30 is special. Besides, we have something important to discuss. There it was. The word that had been sitting in my chest like a stone for weeks. Important. I smiled and let her guide me to the head of the table. Rachel, my childhood best friend, sat near the end, barely making eye contact. That should have been my second clue. Rachel and I hadn't been close in years, not since she'd started parroting my mother's views on traditional family values and a woman's place. But she was here, playing the part of supportive friend, and that meant this was theatre. Dinner was pot roast. My mother's specialty, which she only made for Prince's football games and major announcements. I pushed peas around my plate and answered questions about work, about whether I was dating anyone, about my apartment lease. "Still in that tiny place?" Emily asked, her voice dripping with false concern. "I don't know how you manage. Prince and I are already bursting at the seams, and we haven't even had the baby yet. I like small spaces," I said. "Less to clean," Prince laughed. "That's my sister." "That's always practical." The champagne came out with dessert, my mother's chocolate cake, the one she makes from a box but pretends is homemade. My father popped the first bottle, and the sound made everyone jump and laugh. "A toast," my mother announced, standing. She looked radiant, almost giddy. "To Annika, our brilliant daughter. 30 years of making us proud." Everyone raised their glasses. I raised mine too, watching the bubbles rise. "And," my mother continued, glancing at my father, "to new beginnings for this family." My father cleared his throat. "We've made a decision about the land behind the house." The land. My land. The 3 acres of woods and wildflowers that my parents had promised me since I was 16. The land where I planned to build a cottage, where I'd spent hours as a teenager sketching floor plans and dreaming of independence. "We've sold it," my father said. The room went silent except for the clink of Emily's fork against her plate. "The developer offered a good price," my mother added quickly. "And with Prince and Emily starting their family, they need more space. We're using the money to build an extension. A proper nursery, a bigger kitchen, maybe even a mother-in-law suite for when I need to help with the baby," Prince grinned. "It's going to be amazing. Emily's already picked out paint colours." I looked at Emily. She smiled at me, sweet as poison. "A man has to provide for his family," my mother said. "And Prince needs our support. You understand, don't you, sweetheart? You're independent. You don't need it like he does." Everyone was staring at me, waiting for me to react, waiting for me to cry or yell or make a scene. I raised my glass higher. "Congratulations," I said. My voice didn't shake. "To new beginnings." We drank. The champagne tasted like metal. I stayed for another hour, smiling through coffee and small talk. I hugged my mother. I congratulated Prince and Emily. I promised Rachel we'd get lunch soon. Then I drove home, unlocked my apartment door, and pulled the metal filing box from under my bed. The label read, Plan B, in my own handwriting. I'd been ready for this for 6 months. I opened the box and spread the contents across my kitchen table like evidence at a crime scene. 6 months earlier, I'd been having lunch with my mother when she'd slipped. Just a small comment about maximising assets and family legacy. She'd caught herself mid-sentence and changed the subject to Emily's pregnancy cravings, but I'd seen it. That flicker of guilt in her eyes. That night, I'd started digging. The county clerk's office kept property records going back decades. I'd spent 3 Saturdays there, scrolling through microfiche until my eyes burned. The land behind my parents' house had been in our family since 1924, passed down from my great-grandfather to my grandfather to my father. But there was something else, something nobody had mentioned. I pulled out the survey map, dated 1968. A thick red line cut diagonally across the property, a public access easement established when the county expanded the water main. Legally, it meant a 12-foot wide corridor that had to remain accessible. You couldn't build on it. You couldn't fence it. You couldn't sell it as buildable land without disclosing it. The map in my father's office didn't show that line. "You're sure about this?" Skylar had asked when I'd shown her the documents at work. She was my colleague, the only person I'd told about my suspicions. "Positive. Look at the dates." I'd pointed to the filing stamps. "This easement was never closed. It's still active. And your parents are selling it as 3 full acres. 3 buildable acres to a developer who wants to subdivide." Skylar had whistled low. "That's fraud, or at least failure to disclose." "That's leverage," I'd said. But I hadn't stopped there. I'd gone back to the land itself, walking every inch of it with my phone camera and a field guide to native plants. My environmental law background made me thorough, obsessive even. That's when I found them, small pink orchids barely visible under the leaf litter, Platanthera leucophea, eastern prairie fringed orchid, federally threatened species protected under the Endangered Species Act. I'd photographed them from every angle, documented their GPS coordinates, and sent samples to the state botanist for confirmation. The response came back in 2 weeks. Confirmed population, active protection status, land use restrictions apply. My parents had no idea what was growing on their property. Neither did the developer. I pulled out my phone and scrolled back through my photos from last November. My father at the kitchen table surrounded by papers. I'd stopped by unannounced to drop off his birthday gift and found him stressed, distracted. "Everything okay, Dad?" Fine. Just some paperwork for the property." "What kind of paperwork?" "Nothing important. Refinancing stuff." I'd seen the letterhead before he'd shuffled the papers away. Second mortgage application. Amount $85,000. "You're taking out a loan?" "Just being smart. Interest rates are good right now." But interest rates weren't good. They were terrible. Nobody refinanced in that market unless they were desperate or planning something big. I'd hugged him goodbye and immediately pulled his property records. The second mortgage had been approved 3 weeks later, contingent on the pending land sale. They'd borrowed against money they didn't have yet. Money from a sale that violated multiple disclosure laws. My phone buzzed. A text from Prince. "Thanks for being cool about everything. Mum was worried you'd be upset." I stared at the message for a long moment, then set the phone face down. The next morning, I'd called every developer in the county until I found the right one, Barrett Franklin. His company specialised in suburban subdivisions, the kind that turned forests into cul-de-sacs with names like Whispering Pines and Heritage Oaks. Franklin Development. "Hi, I'm calling about the Turner property on Meadowbrook Road. I'm the daughter." "Oh?" His voice had shifted, cautious. "What can I do for you?" "I wanted to make sure you had all the documentation you needed. Environmental surveys, easement records, that kind of thing." Silence. "Your parents provided the necessary disclosures." "Did they provide the 1968 county easement map? Or the state botanist's report on the threatened orchid population?" More silence. "I didn't think so," I'd said. "I'll email you copies. Just want to make sure everyone's protected legally. You understand?" He'd hung up without saying goodbye. That was 4 months ago. He'd called my parents twice, asking questions. They'd brushed him off. The sale had proceeded anyway, closing 2 weeks before my birthday. Now I pulled out the final document. The one I'd found last week while cleaning out my grandmother's things. A handwritten will, dated 2003. My grandmother's shaky signature at the bottom. The language was clear. "The land on Meadowbrook Road is to pass to my granddaughter Annika upon my death, as she is the one who loved it most." A yellow post-it note was stuck to the corner. The land was hers, Don't let them forget. My grandmother had died in 2005. This will had never been filed. I picked up my phone and started typing an email. Subject line: legal documentation required, Turner Property. Skylar met me at the coffee shop on Monday morning, sliding into the booth with 2 lattes and a legal pad covered in notes. I talked to my cousin, the one who does real estate law. And you have them by the throat. She flipped open the pad. Failure to disclose the easement is a material misrepresentation. The orchids trigger mandatory environmental impact assessments. The second mortgage creates a financial fraud situation if the sale falls through. And that will... She tapped her pen on the page. It's not technically valid because it wasn't probated, but it establishes intent. Your grandmother wanted you to have that land. Any halfway decent lawyer could argue your parents knew about her wishes and deliberately circumvented them. I sipped my coffee. It was too hot. Burned my tongue. What happens if I file complaints with the State Environmental Office? They investigate. Could take months, but if they find what you found, they'll halt any development. Issue fines. The developer would have grounds to sue your parents for fraud. And the second mortgage. If the sale gets voided or the developer pulls out, your parents default, the bank forecloses. Skylar looked at me over her glasses. This could destroy them financially. I know. Annika. She set down her pen. Are you sure about this? I thought about my 16th birthday. My father had taken me to the land, just the 2 of us. We'd walked through the trees, and he'd pointed to a clearing near the back. Someday, he'd said, this will be yours. You can build whatever you want here. A house, a studio, whatever makes you happy. I'd sketched my first cottage design that night, showed it to my mother over breakfast. That's nice, sweetheart, she'd said, barely glancing at it. But don't get too attached. Things change. I thought she meant life in general. I hadn't realised she meant her plans for Prince. I'm sure, I told Skylar. When? After the extension construction starts. I want them to feel safe first, committed. Skylar closed her legal pad. You're terrifying, you know that. I'm thorough. I spent the next 2 weeks watching. Prince posted photos on social media, him and Emily meeting with architects, picking out fixtures, touring appliance stores. My mother commented on every single one. So proud of my son. And can't wait to meet our grandbaby in this beautiful new space. Emily posted a photo of paint swatches fanned across a table. Caption, nursery colours. Thinking sage green for our little prince or princess. And that blessed Naj family first, dream home. I screenshot everything. My father called on a Wednesday evening. Annika, honey, haven't heard from you since your birthday. Been busy with work. Right. Listen. I wanted to ask you something. He paused. You seemed quiet at dinner. Everything okay? Everything's fine, Dad. Your mother's worried. She thought maybe you were upset about the land. I watched my reflection in the dark window. Why would I be upset? Well, you used to talk about it a lot. When you were younger. I was a kid. Kids dream about lots of things. That's what I told her. Relief flooded his voice. You understand, right? Prince needs this. He's starting a family. That's important. More important than a promise. Silence. What? Nothing, Dad. I have to go. Work deadline. Okay. Love you, sweetheart. I hung up without saying it back. The construction permits were approved on a Friday. Prince texted me a photo of the paperwork with 3 exclamation points. Breaking ground next week. That night, I pulled out my grandmother's Bible again. I'd found it in a box of her things my mother had asked me to sort through last year. Just throw away anything you don't want, she said. It's mostly junk. The will had been tucked between Psalms and Proverbs, but there was something else. A letter, written in my grandmother's handwriting, addressed to my mother. Sonia, I know what you're planning. Don't do this to her. She's your daughter. The land is hers. Don't let your favouritism destroy what's left of this family. The letter was dated 2 months before my grandmother died. My mother had known. She'd always known. I took photos of everything. The will, the letter, the post-it note. Uploaded them to 3 separate cloud accounts. Printed copies and put them in a safe deposit box at the bank. Then I drafted 3 emails. One to Barrett Franklin, the developer. One to the State Environmental Protection Office. One to the County Fraud Investigation Unit. I didn't send them. Not yet. I opened my calendar and circled the date 2 weeks out. The day construction was scheduled to begin. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. "Coffee soon. Miss you." I deleted it without responding. I arrived at my parents' house at 6 a.m. My father was already up, sitting at the kitchen table in his bathrobe with a mug of coffee and the newspaper. He looked up when I walked in. "Annika, what are you doing here so early?" "Brought you something." I set the manila envelope on the table in front of him. "What's this?" "Open it." He set down his coffee and pulled out the contents. I watched his face as he flipped through the pages. The 1968 easement map, the botanist's report with photos of the orchids, the state protection guidelines, the disclosure violation notice, the fraud complaint form, already filled out. His hand started shaking on the third page. "What is this?" "Documentation. I sent copies to Barrett Franklin yesterday. He should be calling you soon." "You sent—" He stood up, papers scattering. "Why would you do this?" "Because you lied. You sold land you knew had legal issues. You took out a second mortgage against fraudulent sale proceeds, and you broke a promise. We didn't know about any easement. The survey's in your filing cabinet, Dad. I saw it last year when I was looking for Mom's recipe box. You knew." His face went red. "This is family business. You can't just—" "I already did." My mother appeared in the doorway, tying her robe. "What's going on? Why are you shouting?" My father thrust the papers at her. "Look what she did. Look what your daughter did." My mother scanned the first page, then the second. Her expression shifted from confusion to horror to rage in under 30 seconds. "You vindictive little—" "Careful," I said. "After everything we've done for you, fed you, clothed you, put you through college—" "You mean the state scholarship that I earned? The one that paid for everything? We gave you a home. You gave Prince a home. I was just the backup daughter. The one who didn't matter because I wasn't born with the right anatomy." My father sank back into his chair. "The developer's going to pull the deal. Probably. The mortgage will default." "Yes." My mother's voice dropped to something cold and sharp. "You're destroying this family over a piece of land?" "No. You destroyed this family when you chose Prince over me. When you dismissed every dream I ever had because it didn't fit your idea of what a daughter should want. When you took something that was promised to me and gave it to him because he's a man. He needs it more. He needs to grow up, and you need to stop enabling him." Emily's voice came from the hallway. "What's all the yelling about?" She walked into the kitchen, already dressed, her hand on her belly. She looked at the papers spread across the table, then at me. "What did you do?" "Told the truth." "About what?" My father's phone rang. He looked at the screen and his face went white. "It's Barrett." "Answer it," I said. He put it on speaker with shaking hands. "Herbert, we have a serious problem." Barrett's voice was ice. "I just received documentation from your daughter about environmental violations and an undisclosed easement on the property." "Barrett, I can explain." "You sold me land you can't legally develop. Do you understand what that means?" "We didn't know." "You signed disclosure forms stating there were no encumbrances. That's fraud, Herbert. Actionable fraud." Emily grabbed the edge of the table. "What does that mean for the extension?" "It means there is no extension," Barrett said. "I'm pulling out of the deal. And I'm filing a complaint with the State Real Estate Commission. You'll be hearing from my lawyers." He hung up. The kitchen went silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. My mother turned to me. "How could you? How could you?" I picked up my purse. "Grandma left me that land in her will. Did you know that? She wrote it down, clear as day. The land is to pass to my granddaughter Annika. She even left you a letter telling you not to do this." My father's head snapped up. "What will?" "The one Mom found in Grandma's Bible and never filed. The one she hid because it didn't fit her plans for her golden boy." My mother's face drained of colour. "You knew," my father whispered. "You knew and you didn't tell me." "It wasn't legal," my mother said quickly. "It wasn't probated. It didn't count. It showed intent. It showed what Mom wanted, and you ignored it." Prince appeared in the doorway, hair sticking up, phone in hand. "Dad, why is Barrett calling me about lawsuits?" I walked toward the door. "Annika, wait!" my father started. I'm done waiting, I said. Samei, I waited my whole life for you to see me, to value me, to keep one promise. I left them standing in the kitchen, their perfect family morning shattered like glass. My phone started buzzing before I reached my car. Prince called 17 times before I finally answered. What the hell is wrong with you? I put him on speaker and set the phone on my desk. Good morning to you too. You just destroyed everything. The extension, the nursery, Emily's plans. Do you have any idea what you've done? I provided accurate legal documentation to a developer who was about to build on protected land. That's called due diligence. That's called being a spiteful witch. Careful, Prince. I'm recording this. Silence. You're bluffing. Try me. He hung up. Skylar appeared in my office doorway with coffee. I heard yelling from the hallway. Just my brother having a normal one. Your mum called the main line 3 times. Receptionist is getting concerned. Tell her I'm in meetings all day. Already did. Skylar sat down across from me. So it's done? It's done. How do you feel? I looked at my hands. They were steady. Ask me later, Barrett called at noon. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message on speaker. Miss Annika, this is Barrett Franklin. I think we got off on the wrong foot. I'd like to discuss this situation with you directly. Perhaps we can find a solution that works for everyone. Call me back. I deleted it. He called again at 2. This time I answered. Mr. Franklin, thank you for taking my call. I've been reviewing the documentation you sent. And I'm concerned. Your parents may have been negligent, but I don't think they acted with malicious intent. Perhaps we could. Are you asking me to withdraw my complaint? I'm suggesting we could resolve this privately, without involving the state. In exchange for what? Your cooperation. A statement saying this was a misunderstanding. Maybe we could even work out a deal where you get a small parcel of the land. No. Ms. Annika, you bought land illegally. You failed to do your own due diligence. That's not my problem to fix. Your parents will lose everything. They should have thought of that before they lied. I hung up. My father showed up at my apartment that evening. I watched through the peephole as he knocked, waited, knocked again. Annika, please. I know you're in there. Your car's in the lot. I opened the door, but didn't invite him in. He looked like he'd aged 10 years since morning. His eyes were red, his shirt wrinkled. Can we talk? You have 5 minutes. The bank called. They're starting foreclosure proceedings on the second mortgage. We have 30 days. Okay. Okay. That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Dad? I want you to fix this. Call Barrett back, withdraw the complaint, tell the state it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. You committed fraud. I didn't know about the easement. Yes, you did. I saw the survey in your files. And even if you didn't know about that, you knew about Grandma's will. Mom told you, didn't she? He looked away. When? I asked. After the funeral. She found it in your grandmother's things and showed me. And you did nothing. It wasn't legally filed. It didn't count. It counted to Grandma. It counted to me. You were 16. You didn't need 3 acres of land. But Prince does. Prince, who's never worked for anything in his life. Who expects everything handed to him because he was born male? He's starting a family. So what? Plenty of people start families without their parents building them extensions. Emily's parents have money. Let them help. Emily's parents cut her off. I blinked. What? They cut her off when she got pregnant. Said she and Prince needed to figure it out themselves. He rubbed his face. That's why we pushed the land sale through. They needed help, and we're family, and I'm not family. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. Prince needed help, so you sacrificed me. Again. Annika, did you know Emily was the one who convinced Mom to sell? Rachel told me. Emily wanted that extension. She manipulated Mum, played into her whole son needs to provide mentality, and you all just went along with it. His face crumbled. I didn't know that. There's a lot you don't know, Dad. Like how Mum hid Grandma's letter. The one where Grandma begged her not to do this. Begged her not to let favouritism destroy the family. What letter? I pulled out my phone and showed him the photo. He read it slowly, his hands shaking. Your mother never showed me this. because she knew what she was doing was wrong. She just didn't care. He handed back my phone. What's left you want from us? Nothing. I don't want anything from you anymore. Annika, please. Your 5 minutes are up. I closed the door. He stood outside for another 10 minutes before finally leaving. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. It's Rachel. I met Rachel at the park where we used to play as kids. She was already sitting on a bench when I arrived, picking at her coffee cup sleeve. Thanks for coming, she said. I sat down, leaving space between us. What do you want, Rachel? To apologise. And to tell you something you need to know. I'm listening. She took a breath. I knew about the land sale 3 months before your birthday. Emily told me at her baby shower. She was bragging about it, actually. About how she'd convinced your mum that Prince needed the space, that it was the right thing to do for the family. And you said nothing. I tried. I called your mum and said maybe they should talk to you first. She told me to mind my business, said you'd understand because you were the reasonable one. The reasonable one? Right. I laughed, but it came out bitter. The one who doesn't make waves, the one who accepts whatever scraps they throw her. I should have told you anyway. I was a coward. Rachel finally looked at me. But there's more. Emily didn't just want the extension. She wanted you gone. What? She told me at the shower when she was a few drinks in. Said she was tired of your mum comparing her to you. Annika has a career. Annika is so independent. Annika doesn't need our help. She hated it. So she started working on your mum, playing up the whole traditional family angle. A man needs to provide for his family. Prince needs your support. Annika will be fine on her own. My stomach turned. She manipulated my mother. Your mother wanted to be manipulated. Emily just gave her permission. Rachel twisted the coffee cup. And there's something else. The second mortgage? That was Emily's idea too. She told Prince they needed to secure the money fast before you found out about the sale. She was worried you'd try to stop it. She was right. Emily's not who everyone thinks she is. She's calculating. Everything she does is strategic. Rachel pulled out her phone. I recorded part of the conversation at the shower. I don't know why. Maybe I knew it would matter someday. She played the audio. Emily's voice, slightly slurred. Once the extension is done, we'll basically own that house. Prince's parents will need us more than we need them. And Annika, she'll finally get the message that she's not the favourite anymore. Maybe she'll move away. God, I hope she moves away. Other women laughed in the background. I listened to it twice. Why are you showing me this now? Because Emily called me yesterday, asked me to talk to you, convince you to drop the complaints, said she'd make it worth my while. Rachel's jaw tightened. She offered me money, Annika, like I was some kind of hired mediator. What did you say? I told her to go to hell. Rachel put her phone away. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I should have been a better friend, but I wanted you to know the truth about her. We sat in silence for a moment, watching kids play on the swings. The baby shower, I said. Is it still happening? Cancelled. Emily's mum won't pay for it, and your parents can't afford it now. Emily's furious. Rachel paused. She and Prince are fighting constantly. I heard from someone at their church that he's sleeping on the couch. Good. There's one more thing. Rachel hesitated. Prince's company car got repossessed last week. He was leasing it through some deal your dad set up, tied to the land sale proceeds. When the deal fell through, the financing collapsed. He doesn't have a car. He's driving your dad's old truck. Emily's mortified. She's been posting on social media about downsizing for the baby and living simply, but everyone knows what really happened. My phone buzzed. A text from Skylar. Check your email. Bank notice came through. I opened my email. The subject line read, Notice of Default, Property Foreclosure Proceedings. I showed Rachel. Jesus, she whispered. They're really going to lose the house. Unless they can pay off the second mortgage in 30 days, which they can't because the land sale fell through. Where will they go? That's not my problem. Rachel looked at me like she didn't recognise me. You've changed. No, I just stopped pretending it didn't hurt. My phone rang. Emily's name flashed on the screen. Don't answer it, Rachel said. I answered it anyway, putting it on speaker. Annika! Emily's voice was tight, controlled. We need to talk. I'm busy. This is important. It's about the baby. Congratulations on your pregnancy. I have to go. Wait, please, I'm begging you. Prince is falling apart. Your parents are devastated. Can't we work something out? Like what? I don't know. Maybe if you talked to Barrett, explained it was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. Your husband's family committed fraud. They made a mistake. No, Emily, you made a mistake. You thought you could manipulate your way into my inheritance. You thought I'd just roll over and accept it. I have a recording of you at your baby shower, talking about how you wanted me gone, how you hoped I'd move away. Silence. Rachel says hi, by the way. I hung up. Rachel stared at me. That was brutal. That was necessary. The lawsuit papers arrived at my parents' house on a Tuesday. Barrett was suing for quiet title nullification and damages, $200,000 plus legal fees. Prince called me from outside the courthouse. You need to fix this. I'm not fixing anything. Dad forged a signature on one of the disclosure forms. Did you know that? They're saying he committed fraud. He could go to jail. I stopped walking. What signature? The environmental impact waiver. He signed your name as a family member, consenting to the sale. My hands went cold. He forged my signature. He panicked, okay? Barrett was pushing for the paperwork, and Dad thought it was just a formality. It's not a formality. It's a legal document. Are you really going to let your own father get charged with fraud? He committed fraud, Prince. That's not on me. You're unbelievable. You know that? Our family's falling apart and you're just watching it burn? No. You all burned it down. I'm just not putting out the fire. He hung up. The State Environmental Office called the next day. A woman named Patricia with a calm, professional voice. Ms. Annika, we've completed our preliminary investigation of the property on Meadowbrook Road. We've confirmed the presence of Platanthera leucophea and are opening a formal case. What does that mean? It means the property will be subject to a full environmental impact assessment. Any development will be prohibited until the assessment is complete, which typically takes 12 to 18 months. Given the presence of a threatened species, it's likely the land will be designated as protected habitat. So no one can build on it, not without federal approval, which is rarely granted for residential development in these cases. I thanked her and hung up. The construction permits were voided that afternoon. I saw the notice posted online. Development halted pending environmental review. Emily posted on social media an hour later. Sometimes life throws you curveballs. Trust in God's plan for our growing family. Blessed. Staying positive. The comments were brutal. What happened to the extension? Didn't you just post about paint colours? Everything okay? She deleted the post within an hour. Barrett called me again 2 days later. I'm prepared to make you an offer. I'm not interested. Hear me out. I'll drop the lawsuit against your parents if you provide a sworn statement clearing them of intentional fraud. You can say they were negligent but not malicious. Why would I do that? Because I'll also provide written testimony that you acted in good faith, that you are protecting environmental interests, not pursuing a personal vendetta. It'll keep you out of any family litigation. I'm already out of it. Are you? Your brother's lawyer is building a case that you sabotaged the sale out of spite, that you knew about these issues for months and waited until the worst possible moment to disclose them. They're going to paint you as vindictive. Let them. They're also going to argue that your grandmother's will was invalid and that you used it to manipulate the situation, that you committed fraud by presenting it as legitimate. My stomach dropped. The will shows intent. Intent isn't probate, and if they can prove you used it to coerce your parents or influence the developer, you could face charges yourself. I sat down. What exactly are you offering? A clean exit for everyone. I dropped my suit. You provide a statement saying your parents made an honest mistake. We all move on. And the land? Goes back to your parents. They can't develop it, but they can keep it. Maybe sell it to the state for conservation. At least they'd get something. No. Ms. Annika, you want me to lie under oath to protect people who stole from me? The answer is no. You're making a mistake. I'm making a choice. I hung up and immediately called Skylar. They're trying to flip this on me. I know. I got a call from Prince's lawyer this morning. They're claiming you acted with malicious intent. Can they prove that? Can you prove you didn't? I pulled out my documentation, every email, every photo, every timestamp. I have evidence that I discovered the issues during routine research, that I attempted to inform the developer before the sale closed. Did you? I called him. He ignored me. Do you have proof of the call? I checked my phone records. There it was. November 14th, 3:47 p.m. Duration, 4 minutes 22 seconds. Yes. Then you're covered. But Annika, this is going to get ugly. Your family's going to fight back hard. Let them. The foreclosure notice was posted on my parents' door the following week. Bright yellow paper, impossible to miss. A neighbour took a photo and it spread through the community Facebook group within hours. My mother called me at midnight sobbing. Are you happy now? Everyone knows. Everyone's talking about us. Your father can't even go to the store without people staring. Mum, we're losing everything. The house, our savings, our reputation. And for what? Because you couldn't let go of some childhood fantasy. It wasn't a fantasy. It was a promise. Promises change. Life changes. Why can't you understand that? Why can't you understand that you destroyed your own family, not me, you? She was quiet for a moment. Then, I hope you can live with yourself. She hung up. I sat in the dark, phone in my hand, and waited to feel something. Guilt, regret, satisfaction. Nothing came. Just the quiet hum of my refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic. My phone lit up with an email. Subject: settlement offer, Franklin Development. I opened it. Barrett was offering one final deal. Barrett's email was 3 paragraphs long. He wanted me to testify against my parents in exchange for immunity from any countersuits. He'd provide a formal letter clearing me of wrongdoing, plus a cash settlement of $15,000 for my cooperation and expertise. I read it twice, then deleted it. The state hearing happened on a grey morning in March. I sat in the back of the room and watched my father take the stand. His lawyer, a tired-looking man in an ill-fitting suit, tried to paint him as a confused elderly man who'd made an honest mistake. The prosecutor held up the forged signature. Mr. Herbert, is this your daughter's signature? I thought it was just a formality. That's not what I asked. Did you sign your daughter's name to this document without her knowledge or consent? My father looked at the floor. Yes. And did you knowingly omit the 1968 easement from your disclosure forms? I didn't think it mattered any more. It was so old. Did you omit it? Yes or no? Yes. My mother sat in the front row, stone-faced. Emily was next to her, visibly pregnant now, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Prince wasn't there. According to Rachel, he'd moved into a motel after Emily went back to her parents' house. The judge ordered my father to pay $8,000 in fines and placed him on probation. No jail time, but the fraud conviction would stay on his record. Barrett's lawsuit was settled out of court. My parents agreed to return the sale proceeds and cover his legal fees. The second mortgage went into default. The bank took the house 3 weeks later. I drove past it once. There was a foreclosure sign in the yard, and my mother's garden was already overgrown. I didn't stop. Skylar and I were having lunch when I got the call from the State Conservation Office. Ms. Annika, I wanted to inform you that the Meadowbrook property has been officially designated as protected habitat. The state is purchasing it from the bank for conservation purposes. How much are they paying? $40,000. It'll go toward your parents' debt. Will it cover everything they owe? No, but it's something. I thanked her and hung up. You okay? Skylar asked. The land's protected now. No one can ever build on it. That's what you wanted, right? Yeah. Then why do you look like that? Like what? Like you're not sure if you won. I pushed my salad around. My parents are living in a rental apartment. Prince and Emily are divorced. My dad has a criminal record. My family won't speak to me. And I don't know if it was worth it. Skylar set down her fork. Did they apologise? No. Did they acknowledge what they did to you? No. Did they offer to make it right in any way? No. Then it was worth it. I bought a small piece of wooded land in April. 2 acres, 40 minutes from the city. No family history, no broken promises. Just trees and quiet and possibility. I hired an architect and showed her my old sketches from high school. She smiled and said we could make it work. The cottage is small, 800 square feet, 1 bedroom, a wall of windows facing the woods. I designed it myself this time. No one else's input. No one else's approval. I moved in on a Saturday. Rachel helped me unpack boxes. It's perfect, she said, standing in the living room. It's so you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for letting me. She handed me a housewarming gift, a framed photo of us as kids, sitting in the woods behind my parents' house. I found this in my mum's attic. Thought you might want it. I looked at our younger selves, grinning at the camera, covered in dirt and leaves. We were happy then, Rachel said quietly. We were kids. We didn't know any better. Do you think you'll ever talk to them again? Your family? I don't know. Maybe someday, if they ever understand what they did. And if they don't, then I have this. I gestured at the cottage, the woods beyond. I have my own space, my own life. Something they can't take away. Rachel hugged me before she left. I'm proud of you. The letter arrived in June, forwarded from my old address. Official state letterhead, formal language. The Meadowbrook property was now permanently protected under the State Natural Heritage Programme. Public access only, no development, no private ownership, no exceptions. I drove there on a Sunday morning. Someone had put up a small sign, protected habitat, please stay on marked trails. I walked the old paths, found the clearing where my father had once promised me the land. The orchids were blooming, small, pink, resilient. I took a photo and posted it online with a simple caption. Some things are worth protecting. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Comments from friends, colleagues, strangers. Beautiful! Where is this? Nature always wins. One comment stood out, from an account I didn't recognise. I'm sorry, Dad. I stared at it for a long time. Then I turned off my phone and sat in the clearing, surrounded by wildflowers and bird song and the kind of peace that comes from knowing you stood up for yourself. My inheritance wasn't property. It was knowing my worth. It was refusing to accept less than I deserved. It was understanding that sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones you need protection from. And it was learning that revenge isn't always loud or violent or dramatic. Sometimes it's just telling the truth and letting the consequences unfold. I visit the land every week now. I bring my coffee and my sketchbook and I sit among the orchids. They bloom every spring, delicate and defiant, just like me.